Welcome into the Vegas Squares podcast, where we discuss all things sports and sports betting. Presented by 12 Ounce Sports Radio. All right, and welcome into the next edition of the Picks and Chatter podcast, the NFL edition. I am sitting here in studio with Spike. We are token Tony-less, but nevertheless, he did provide his picks beforehand off the air. Spike, how are you feeling this week after a tumultuous week 3?
Week 3 was brutal to me. Not just in our contest, but just at the window. It was not kind. Nothing about it treated me well, so I am looking forward for redemption in this week and hopefully getting back into the positive, because I'm currently sitting at -6 in our standings right now.
Yowzers.
Yeah, not great.
Not great. Yeah, week 3 was kind to me, but the thing is, when I looked over the picks to make mine for this week, I felt such a tremendous amount of added pressure at this point. I know that I'm up pretty handedly in the standings of our contest here, but it's very easy in the NFL to fall right back to you guys.
Right, and I mean, no lead is safe, especially getting the bonus points for the blind bet and the lock. You know, one of us hits one of those, your lead's cut in half instantly, and then anything else can happen because it's the fucking NFL and anything can happen.
All we got to do is reverse course, and I have your week and you have my week, and like I said, we're back to a little bit of I fall back to the pack a little bit.
Yeah,
so.
If anybody has a week like I had last week, just kill yourself. It was atrocious.
Well, we are here on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. We thank you very much for listening. If you are listening on that platform, we are also available on our website, vegassquares.com. You can also hear us on iTunes as well, or YouTube. You can catch us all of our videos at YouTube, our audio videos, I guess. It's not really a video, it's just a picture with our voice behind it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe once we get a little bit of money coming into this thing, we should set up, like, webcams and do, like, maybe not even, like, a live simulcast.
Have you looked at you? Have you looked at me? Nobody wants to...
I've looked at you since you shaved. You look like a fucking fat baby, but...
Fuck off!
But, I mean, just because I think people would be interested in seeing what goes on. I mean, I don't want to say, like, behind the scenes, like we're fucking professionals here, but, I mean, you have a good setup here.
Yeah, it's nice.
It looks good. The fact that we're always joking and laughing around, even when the mics are off, I think people would like to see that sort of thing. So to be able to give them another way to get inside the minds of the Vegas Squares, I think would be good. It would be interesting for me anyway, but I have an ego.
Well, hopefully the sponsors and or the fan will will donate to our cause to get us some webcam setups.
All right.
Fucking fat baby, you asshole. Looked like Andy Dalton and Carson Palmer had a ridiculously ugly love child.
The reason I keep the beard is so that my wife can't see my chins. You should take my advice.
Yeah, it's true. At least I only have 2, not 4.
All right, fair enough. I lost count.
I've lost count.
Yeah, I haven't seen them in a while.
So the over-under, or who covers the spread? Your amount of chins or the number in a Chinese phone book? All right, that's enough of the insults, and let's roll into the games. I know that you have Token Tony's bets already on the spreadsheet, so we will be giving those as well, along with our analysis of these games. Let's dive in. Speaking of ironic, we're going to start with Detroit.
Yeah, our Detroit homeboy is gone, and actually, this is his underdog money line game of the week. He's taking Detroit money line, and I think he feels pretty confident about it. And I do too. I'm agreeing with him. Not money line. I'm taking Detroit plus the 3. This is a game that opened Dallas at 3.5. Now it's down to 3. So jumping on Detroit now is probably going to be better. For as formidable as Dallas seems like they should be, Dak Prescott hasn't impressed anybody. I don't think Ezekiel Elliott's impressed anybody. I think Dak Prescott needs an entirely new coaching staff before I'll feel comfortable betting on Dallas again, unless it's a really soft matchup. So yeah, I like Detroit in this game, especially after the showing last week.
Yeah, it's tough to bet against them, like you said, especially with the way they handled the New England Patriots. I really didn't find a side on this one too. I liked the Lions, but at the same time, something about me, the Dallas Cowboys at home always seem to kind of be a little bit better than they are on the road. And we've seen evidence by that this year. They're 1-2, 1-0 at home. I didn't touch either side on this one. I decided to go over the total of 44. In this spot, I think both teams can put up, we've seen Detroit be able to put up the points. I think Dallas at home can put up 20 to 24 points. and I think Detroit can probably match that stride for stride. I'm not 100% confident which way that line will fall as far as the score, so I stayed away from the spreads in this point. I'm just going to take over the total in that spot. So that's going to be an interesting one. Right now on covers, the money on the spread is legitimately 51.49 at this point. So it's definitely kind of sitting in the same way I feel. I'm not really sure where the money. I'm not really sure where to lay my money on the spread. So it'll be an interesting one. Buffalo and Green Bay. Now, I'd like to preface, I'm not really locked into Buffalo minus 10, am I?
First of all, it was Buffalo minus 11. You did call it your blind bet, so if you get it wrong, you don't lose anything. But no, I will say, if you want to change your bet at this point, I think we can allow it.
I think, honestly, if they were at home, I may just roll the fuck it and go, but they're not. They're on the road. So I think Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers at these, what are they, 1-1-1 at this point? Or what are they? Yeah, 1-1. 1-1-1 at this point. Need a win to get back on track, especially with a couple of teams in that division like the Chicago Bears who were leading it. This is my lock of the week, though. I will say at 9.5 points.
Oh,
I'm taking the Packers money line. They're currently at minus 440 on the money line. So he said we can use money lines for the locks. I'll take the lock. My lock of the week is Packers money line.
So, Token gave me his pick. He actually stayed away from the line in this one. He is going over the total. It opened at 44s. Right now it's at 45, so we're giving him over 45. I have to double check. Some of these lines moved since he texted me and let me know what his picks were. So if it moved half a point to a point and he wants to adjust, we can do that off the air. We'll figure that out later. So right now he's on the over. I hate admitting this. I agree with you. Green Bay money line.
You hate admitting with me, or you hate picking Green Bay?
I hate agreeing with
me, yeah.
On the Green Bay money line. Just kind of like, let's squeak out a win and kind of move on.
To be honest, I am up by so much. I would really love to just start firing on Josh Allen and the Bills, but that's how you fall back to the pack.
Exactly. No, I just...
My lock of the week, Bills plus 350.
Yeah,
exactly.
This was not a game that I felt comfortable with, especially after the way Buffalo looked at Minnesota last week. Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers hurt. I think he's still good, but I really can't tell. I don't know what's going on with this team. And I can't trust Green Bay's defense not to give up about 17 personal fouls. So
yeah,
I'm with you. Green Bay money line.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's hard to find a way. Another 51-49 money's on the Packers, but I mean, again, that's a pretty much an even split at that point. So it'd be a tough one. I like that one, Green Bay money line. You didn't take it as your lock though, so interesting.
Yeah, no, I have another lock which I am probably going to regret, and if it misses, I'm never betting on him for the rest of the season.
Maybe your gay brother, Gandy Dalton. Houston at Indianapolis. The line currently Indianapolis minus a point. I'll let you start this off.
Yeah, well, both Token and I actually had it at... it opened at Indy minus 3. It's down to Indy minus 1. Both Token and I actually had our picks at Indy minus 1.5. So we'll gladly get rid of the hook for us on these picks.
Fair enough.
And we're both going to ride Indy 1.5. I have not been impressed with Deshaun Watson whatsoever. Andrew Luck, while he's clearly not 100%, I think he's better than people expected him to be, especially early in the season. And Indy's defense was supposed to be atrocious, and they're mediocre. And
actually
I think,
shown a little pulse.
Yeah, I think them being mediocre is going to be good enough for them to make some noise in this division, especially at home, especially against a team that's really terrible right now. So give me Indy.
Yeah, you got Indy. Spike's got Indy. Tokatoni's got Indy. I got Indy as well with the 1 point. I just think that something's wrong in Houston, and Deshaun Watson's going through growing pains. This may be a defense for Deshaun Watson to be able to handle right now. I mean, you look at the defenses he's faced this season so far, the Pats defense. You have last week they had the Giants defense. Some good defenses they've had. Obviously, their trends right now, 0-3, 0-3, 0-3 in their record against the spread and last 10. 0-2 on the road, which is where they'll be. They'll be up in the Peyton Manning oil drum. Everything just points Indy's way, and I'm an Andrew Luck guy, and I forgot to pull up his tweets before we... So I'll have to pull up his tweet here real quick. Let's see if there's anything going on in Captain... I'm sure he's already written something to his mother about this one. Captain Andrew Luck.
Are you following his mother's account that's responding to these tweets?
Sometimes I follow it.
Because those they're not as good as the original tweets, but they're still pretty spectacular.
All right, here we go. Dearest mother, there is little time to dwell on our recent defeat. We shall move onward and upward, and there is not a moment to spare as Texans march toward our home camp. Scouts report their sergeant major is so brawny he must be named after a unit of power. I must be vigilant. 2 days ago, that's when he wrote. 1 day ago, he wrote, Mother, I have received your care package of prickled prairie dog and possum cakes. The unit has reached home camp. We prepare for the soldiers out of Houston and their clown, who was intimidating and not at all funny. May have learned the difference the hard way. I don't know if you're familiar with that reference when Deshaun Watson called Ben Maller a clown after Ben Maller called... You know who Ben Maller is?
No.
He's a radio personality on Fox Sports. I actually, since I work nights, listen to him on my way into work. He's pretty funny. He's pretty honest take. He doesn't really get too high or too low on a guy. And he called Deshaun Watson overrated and before the season, and Deshaun Watson basically came out and called him a clown. So it was kind of funny.
Lovely. All right. I like it.
So yeah, we're all on Indy with the point, or laying the point at that point. So we will move on to, I wouldn't want to say the last audition of Fitzmagic, potentially, if nothing goes well, in Soldier Field against the Chicago Bears. The line right now is 3 points in favor of Chicago. Money seems to be split 50-50 according to covers.com. Line -3. I'll start this one off. This is a personal bet. I'd like to see Fitzmagic continue to play, even though I'm a Florida State guy and Jameis Winston. I really want Jameis Winston to do well, but at this point, 4 years in, the guy can't get out of his own way. So I'd like to see Fitzmagic in the Magic train roll. So although they may not win, I will take the Bucks and the 3 points.
Oh, all right. No, I think this game is going to be an interesting watch. If it wasn't going on at the same time as the New England game, I might actually sit down and really pay attention to this one. But I don't know. I think this Chicago defense, the way that they're making noise, especially with being 2-1 at home, 2-1 against the spread, I think Chicago minus the 3. I feel pretty comfortable about that. I'm taking that the home favorite on this one. Token's also taking the home favorite as his blind bet, so he feels less confident in this one. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's holding off to see who the quarterback is going to be in Tampa Bay, or if Fitzmagic has another first half where he throws 3 picks like he did against Pittsburgh.
Jameis comes in.
Yeah, Jameis comes in, and he either looks like...
There's no way it's not Fitzpatrick in the first half, right? I mean,
it's got to be...
They haven't made an official decision, but...
You can't... After he goes 3 starts, goes...
400, 200.
2-1, and has 1 bad half. Mm-hmm. You can't bench a guy for that.
And I don't know how many people actually watched the Monday night game. Yes, you can look at the box score and say, dude, he threw 3 picks in the first half, but 2 of them weren't his fault. The Mike Evans route went the wrong way. Mike Evans admitted to it, laid the ball right in the Pittsburgh defender's hand. And the other one, he got blown up on a screen because the offensive line couldn't block, led to the pick 6. So I'd say 2 out of those 3 weren't necessarily Fitzpatrick's fault, but of course, obviously, a lot of that lays on a quarterback at that point. So, all right, well, so you guys have the Bears. I'll take the Bucks in that spot. Like I said, 50-50, pretty much split down the middle right now on the money. Cincinnati and Atlanta inside the Georgia Dome, or whatever they call it, the Mercedes Dome now at this point. 3.5-point spread right now. Oh, wow. It's changed a lot in the last day or so, because I had my original bet was on a 5.5-point spread. So what do we want to do in this spot?
Yeah, this was an odd one because when Token sent me his bet, he took Atlanta minus the 5, and now it's down to 3.5. So I think he's going to feel better about that. I'm actually very interested in the fact that the total opened at 48. Mm-hmm. It's 53.5.
5.5 points up, yeah.
That is insane to me. I am actually going to roll. I can't believe I'm doing this. So if anybody is looking for a sure bet, take Atlanta. I'm taking Cincinnati plus the 3.5. I've not been super impressed with Dalton, but he hasn't really done anything to make me really question his ability. A.J. Green just went to healthy on the injury report today, and I think Cincinnati's defensive line is probably the best part of their team, and I think that they can get in Matt Ryan's face. So I like what Cincinnati's doing. I'm going to take them plus the 3.5.
I think it's a strong bet. I'd like to use some commissioner power in this. I know we're all commissioners, so I will use commissioner power in your favor because Token Tony's got. He said he took Atlanta minus the 5. Now we're giving him a 1.5 of spread difference at that point.
Yeah, I've got his pick here. He definitely took it at the 5.
Okay, so here's the situation. I took Atlanta with the 5 as well. So what we'll do here in this spot, since we're getting line movement so much in our favor, we should let the line move in your favor as well. So we'll both take Atlanta with the 3.5. We'll give you Cincinnati with the 5.
I like that a lot more.
I think that's fair, right?
Yeah.
So basically, on the straight line that's currently live, you still like Cincinnati with the 3.5 points.
Yeah, even at the 3.5, I still think, I'm not 100% sure they can win. I'm not going to put my money on the money line on this one, but I think that they can keep it close enough that, if they can get in Matt Ryan's face, I think they've got a really good shot at keeping this to a field goal type game. I like the 3.5.
Cool. All right. So, for live odds, I'll still take Token, and I'll still take the 3.5. We'll give you the 5 as an addendum to this because you know why? Because we can do that.
Hey, I like it.
All right, so Spike gets the 5, we get the 3.5. We move on to the Jets in Jacksonville here at this point. Line currently 7.5. Opened up Jacksonville -9. It's down to 7.5.
Yeah, and the money's coming in. It's actually not as evenly split as we've seen. Jacksonville's on almost 60% of the money, although I heard on the radio on the way in that the sharp money is coming in on the New York Jets. Actually, Token and I have the same play on this game, and it's over the total, 38.5. I know for me, I like, obviously, I think Jacksonville can score some points. Sam Darnold is obviously a coin flip, but if we see a performance out of him like what we saw in Detroit, then New York should be able to help that out. I think 38.5 is way too low for a team with an offense that could potentially bust that on their own. So I'm comfortable with this line.
Fair enough. I saw the line open up at 9 with Jacksonville, immediately wanted the Jets. By the time here Thursday, we start making these picks, the line's moved. I'll still take the Jets with the 7.5. I like the hook. I want to grab it before it changes any more. I think this line is going to start going down a little bit. Everybody sees they're prisoners of the moment with Jacksonville as far as what they saw last week, and it's Blake Bortles, it's Jekyll and Hyde. Against the Pats, he looked great, 4 touchdowns. Against the Titans, he couldn't get one in the end zone. So I still like the Jets in this spot. I think both defenses are really good. So I worry about your 38.5 pick, but I'm okay with that if you both get it wrong. So I'll take the Jets. I like specifically because of the hook. I feel like this could be a touchdown game right on that 7 number. So that favors realistically that favors the Jets in that spot. So I'm taking the Jets plus 7.5. So all right, Philly and Tennessee. Let's see, 61% of the money is coming in on Philly minus 3.5 at this point. What's Token rolling on this one?
Token and I, again, have the same play, the home dog. We're taking Tennessee plus the 3.5. I know for me it has been just, I know the mantra of Vegas Squares, aside from, it can go either way, thanks to Token Tony giving us that fucking nugget, is always look at the home dog. And Tennessee plus the 3.5 with the defense playing it the way they're playing against the Philadelphia team, where I'm still not sure that Wentz is back to a spot where Philadelphia fans can feel confident that they can obviously win the division because the NFC East is fucking garbage.
Right.
But I don't think they can go very far in the playoffs with the way Wentz is playing right now, and they need to win games to get there. So I think this looks like a trap game to Philadelphia. I like Tennessee in this spot.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to make that a third. However, I have a little bit of a different take on it. I think Tennessee's defense is very, very good. With Marcus Mariota coming back, the offense becomes a little bit more scarier than when Blaine Gabbert steps in there. I know that Marcus Mariota played a lot last week, pretty much the whole game, but he was still hurt. I know he's incredibly healthy right now, as healthy as he can be. I initially thought Tennessee with 3.5, but I'm going to roll my blind bet and take them on the money line.
All right.
So I'll take the plus 180 on the money line, make that my blind bet of the week. I'll take Mariota's Tennessee Titans to beat Philly and knock them down to 2-2. But yeah, even at 2-2, Philly is still in good shape in that division.
Yeah, who worries you in that division? Maybe Washington.
Washington, really.
But
yeah, Dallas wins tomorrow night or Sunday night, they can get involved. But we'll see. Miami and New England. I struggled with this one for a while because that line just sits right on a number I hate, and obviously that's 7. New England's shown right now that they're not capable of blowing anybody out, so the bookmakers know that's 7. That 7 just sits weird with me. It's come down to 6.5 at this point, which makes me feel a little better towards New England, but I'm having a hard time. I haven't officially made a pick yet. I'm going to probably make a pick in the moment at this point.
All right. Well, I'll give you Token took Miami plus the 6.5, and I don't think anybody can blame him. Miami's 3-0. New England hasn't looked that great, and Brady's looked every day of his 41 years. Mm-hmm. So I don't think anybody's going to blame him for that. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm taking New England minus the 6.5, lock of the week.
Yo.
Nice. I love the Patriots in this spot. I still think Brady is in fuck you mode. I think he can go out there and, even when he has slow starts to a season, there's always the one game that triggers it where he comes back in. He throws up 450 yards for about 17 touchdowns in a game. This, to me, smells like that game. Miami's 3-0, but they won 2 games in home in 110-degree heat and 1 game on the road against an awful-looking New York Jets team. So to me, I think I said this last week, this is the worst 3-0 team I've seen in a long time.
Okay.
And the home teams in this matchup, Miami and New England, in the last 12 games are 11-1 against the spread. New England lock of the week.
Wow. You might have almost convinced me. I was feeling the 6.5 as well. I think the Patriots and the Dolphins are so familiar with one another, even with the fact that Adam Gase has only been there a couple years. I think all this trickeration offense. Remember when the Wildcat offense was a thing, with Ronnie Brown and stuff, and they got the Pats once. I think Belichick has the ability.
It debuted against the Patriots.
Did it? Is that what it was? Oh yeah, in Foxborough when they killed him, right?
Yeah, Miami wiped him out.
Man, you got me convinced, but part of me, I'm going to stay away from the line. I'll take under 48 in this spot. I think that I can see 2 possible scenarios, both of which stay under the total. I can see a New England blowout, somewhere along the lines of 28-10, 35-10, and I can also see a situation where it's 21-17. Both obviously stay under the number of 48. So I'll stay away from the line in that spot. 55% of the money is actually going towards Miami. That's why that number is coming down at this point. Seattle at Arizona. Seattle finally got their first win of the year against Dallas at home, but they do have to go on the road where they've been 0-2 so far. But they do go to a place of a team that is 0-3 at this point, 1-2 against the spread, only covering last week because they got 2 early touchdowns from Sam Bradford, and then he basically turned off the keys to the ignition and handed them over to Josh Rosen for the last drive.
Right.
Line is currently Seahawks -3.
Yeah, and from what I understand, Rosen's actually the starter in this game, unless I've missed something.
Unless something has changed, I believe that is correct.
Yeah, Vegas Insider is saying that it's the Rosen experiment or bust right now.
Yeah, and why not?
So, Token's pick right now is over the total. He gave me 38.5. I have it at 39, so we're going to have to figure out which line is right there, and if he still wants the extra
over the total?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets 39.
39, okay. So that's him. I'm actually going this as a blind bet of the week. I haven't liked Seattle. I haven't liked anything that I've seen out of Russell Wilson. I think the Josh Rosen experiment can keep this close. I am actually taking as my blind bet the home dog plus the 3. Give me the Cardinals, even though I'm only with 30% of the money on this one. I think this is the type of game where Seattle's going to think that it's a rookie quarterback that they can bully around, and I think it's going to be a crazier game than people realize.
Yeah, Seattle and Arizona, even though there's a new coaching staff down there in Phoenix, they've always kind of put up these very close games, very entertaining games. I don't know if you remember a couple years ago when I believe they tied like 9-9. Do you remember that? And they bricked field goals, bricked extra points in the end. It always seems to be that close game. I'm not as confident on Seattle as the 70% of the money seems to show. So I will take Seattle with the -170 money line at this point. So I think they're going to win this game on the road. I just don't think the Cardinals. I think that defense even slowed down a little bit from their Legion of Boom days because KJ Wright should be coming back. Bobby Wagner's 50-50 right now, and Earl Thomas playing center field. They still have a good core. And, of course, I got a soft spot in my heart for the Griffin twins. I like the 170 money line. It could be a 1-point game. I just don't know what Rosen's such a wild card. You really don't know. He could come out guns blazing like Josh Allen did and take advantage of a couple opportunities. I'm still going to lay my money on Russell Wilson. He's my guy. I mean, you can call it what you want. I like Russell Wilson. I know that I could probably ball wash him a little more than the average bear on this podcast.
Yeah, that's I don't think anybody's going to blame you for taking Russell Wilson in that spot, especially given how bad Arizona has looked. I like the fact that Arizona is running with a quarterback that nobody's really seen at the professional level, so I think that's really going to mix things up. Seattle might not be ready for it. Who knows? Especially given how depleted their defense is this year compared to previous years.
Yeah, and another thing I noticed is who had the under on Week 4? All 5 of the first-round pick quarterbacks getting into the games. I didn't think that. They're all in. They've all played. I mean, Lamar Jackson's played some at quarterback and a receiver, but all 5 of them played at this point. I didn't have that. I figured some of them would sit out for a year. I thought Rosen would sit out for the year or most of the year. I thought Lamar Jackson wouldn't even sniff the field, which they're trying to utilize him in other ways, and they're doing the little wildcat bullshit, and I'm sure Flacco's not crazy about that. I didn't think Baker would see the field this year either. So, yeah, it's interesting. But speaking of Baker, it's Mayfield time. He's going to go against Oakland in the Coliseum.
Yes.
It's 2.5 points in favor of the home Raiders.
Yes. Do you know, I heard this stat on the way in today as well. Last, 35 games where the Raiders have been a home favorite, they have 11 wins against the spread.
That doesn't bode well for my pick then.
Yeah, and this is a line that opened Oakland minus 3.5. It's down to 2.5. Both Token and I are on Cleveland plus the 2.5.
Yeah, that's what scares me because it's Oakland minus 3.5, but I can't say it is the majority. 52% of the money is currently on Oakland at this point, and the line has gone down. 2.5 points to me. I feel like Oakland wins legitimately by a field goal. And I feel like anybody who got it at 3.5 early, Oakland is going to hate life, and anybody who got it at 2.5 is going to feel a sigh of relief. But you guys both have the Brownies.
Yeah, especially the Browns, even though they've looked kind of up and down and they haven't really been consistent.
They're the better team in this spot, I think, talent-wise.
And they're 3-0 against the spread this year, whereas Oakland is 1-2, including 0-1 at home. So I feel a lot better about the Browns in this one.
Yeah, I mean, the spread actually indicates that the Browns and the Oakland Raiders are basically an even-matched team. They're basically giving the Oakland a 3-point spread. Something about it just seems, I feel like Oakland's going to get on track here. They're not getting blown out in games. I mean, I believe, with the exception of the second half of the Rams Monday night game, they've been competitive in all the football they've played. With the Dolphins and also with the Denver Broncos. They should have won the game against the Denver Broncos.
Right. Well, I mean, they've been competitive, but they've never looked great. And they gave the game away in the second half against Miami, and they gave the game away against Denver. This is not a team where...
So maybe the Raiders pick them first half might be the bet.
I was going to say, taking the first half line for Oakland might be the better bet in this one.
Yeah.
Because they just can't seem to close.
Can we do that?
I honestly don't know what that is. I don't know if that's Gruden's coaching style. I don't know if that's Carr is incapable of...
defense wears down.
Yeah,
Who knows? It could be a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah, it's got to be. But I'm staying away from Oakland for the time being, especially at home, because apparently they can't win against the spread at home.
I think we need to put a bill on the floor right now, offering all wagers, first halves as well. What do you think? I won't do any of this week, but I think maybe opening up the ability to do those
starting next week.
Next week. What do you guys think? Well, I guess Token's not here. Let's see. The first half line is Raiders -1. You're right. I didn't think about that. I mean, the fact that they've been able to, not been able to hold leads and been able to keep up with the first half, the second half of games, is really alarming. I mean, all 3 games they've blown second half. I mean, they were ahead of the Rams in the first at the end of the first half in the Monday night game.
I didn't even realize
13-10.
Yeah. I wasn't paying attention to that game, but yeah.
So, anyways, let's move on. I have the Raiders. You both have the Browns in that spot. New Orleans and the Giants inside the Meadowlands. Saints currently a 3.5-point favorite at this spot. 56% of the money going in on New Orleans.
Yeah, and this was another game where both Token and I had it at 3. Both of us like New Orleans in this spot. Token's actually got it as his lock of the week. I want to double check with him on that if he wants to keep that now that the extra hook's on there.
What did he have?
He added New Orleans minus the 3, and that's what I saw too on Insider. So
let him have the -3 for his lock.
All right.
3.5 is not going to. I mean, it could create an issue, but this is an odd week. He's not here to have the most updated total lines, and we'll allow him a little bit of leniency and leeway in this spot. So
all right, well, that'll work.
So we'll give him the what, Saints -3 then?
Yeah, he's got Saints -3. I'll take the extra hook then, the Saints minus the 3.5 because I'm not making it my lock. There's just nothing about this Giants team outside of Saquon Barkley that I like. I don't think Eli is consistent enough. I don't think he is getting enough protection. I don't think the defense is playing well enough. And New Orleans just, they're like New England. They just have the ability just one of these weeks to all of a sudden put up 700 yards and 60 points on you.
No, they did that last week. They did every bit of it. I'm staying away from the number on this one. 3.5, no matter where you look at it, really doesn't really sit well with me. Picking either side because obviously that hook, a home dog with 3.5 points, does sound tasty, but the Saints are a high-powered offense. However, that being said, with the high-powered offense, you're right. I don't know if both teams can get moving on this. I'm going to take the under 50. I feel like this is a 24-14 game or 20, even a 30-14 game. I don't see the Giants getting more than 14, 17 points. And while New Orleans can score upwards of 35, I don't think they'll get it. And New York Giants defense is pretty decent. So I'll take the under 50 in this spot. I know that based on the Giants scoring 29 last week, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Saints scored 42 last week. It does sound pretty crazy to take the under in this spot, but I think they stay under the total. I think they stay under, and I think that as this trends upward, because I think the total is going to move upward, and you can catch this number. You can catch this number a little higher, a couple more points maybe in your favor. But I'll stay with my pick right now. It sits at 50. Oh, excuse me, 50.5.
I was going to say Covers has it at 50.5, opening at 49, so it's already moved a 1.5. You might get another 1.5 out of this when it's all said and done.
Well, I got to make my pick now, so I'll say 50.5. If it's higher, then obviously extra cookies for you. San Francisco at LA Chargers, or the Clippers as you like to call them.
Yeah,
and everybody is jumping off of San Francisco now that Jimmy G has been ruled out for the year. The line opened up 9.5 at the Clippers, and now has moved up to the Clippers minus 10.5.
Yeah, and it's weird seeing a home favorite go up a point where the total goes down half a point, but that's what we have here, where it opened at 47. Now it's down the hook. And one of the things that I see really strange about this game is that everybody that's using stats to try to justify picking San Francisco is forgetting that Jimmy Garoppolo isn't playing in this game. So
right.
the stats of the last 3 games are essentially meaningless. And with that said, Token is taking the Niners plus the 10.5 in this spot. I don't know how comfortable he feels in that. I don't know if he's even paying attention. Maybe he doesn't realize that Jimmy Garoppolo blew his ACL and he's not playing this week. I am taking the Clippers minus the 10.5. I would take the Clippers minus the 14 at this spot. I think San Francisco, even if their intention was not to tank the season before, it has to be that now. Even if they get in a spot where they might win a game, just have the head coach pull an Andy Reid and blow a timeout, mismanage the clock, do something to lose the game, because this is a team going nowhere, especially with the Rams in that same division.
Yeah, I think in this spot, it's too early to give up on the season. I think C.J. Beathard, if you've watched what he did in his limited action last year, pre-Jimmy Garoppolo trade, he was actually had the ability to keep this San Francisco team in games when the spread was large like this. I'm also with Token. I'm on the 10.5 as well with the San Francisco 49ers. 3 reasons. Public money, 65% with the Chargers at this point. So I'm going to obviously fade the public in that spot. Also, I think it's a double-digit spread that I think San Francisco's defense is able to keep the Chargers in check a little bit. And I think Breida and Morris can pace the running game, which if you have a good running game, it keeps the ball away from the other team. And the third one is it's the biggest spread of the week. And you know my philosophy on the biggest spread of the week.
Yeah. You don't like it.
All right. So I am with Token on the 49ers as well in that spot. So we got Baltimore and Pittsburgh, the Sunday night game, which is always a good one. Pittsburgh's finally a little bit back on track, quote unquote, with their slim victory because they had to hold on for dear life in the second half as Fitzmagic got rolling again. That was a hell of a game. Did you watch that game?
I was playing a tournament at the time, but I was watching as much as I could.
Holy crap! I mean, it was just the way he can just flip a switch. And like I said, the two out of the 3 picks he threw in the first half, in my opinion, weren't his fault. And obviously, that's going to create, especially with Winston coming back, who should start? But Fitzmagic right now is still in full effect in my mind. But we're talking about Pittsburgh at this point. They held on. They got their first win of the season. They get a team that they're very familiar with, but the Ravens are currently a dog on the road, and I like my boys. I like the Ravens, my playoff contenders.
Yeah, you've been talking about the Ravens pretty consistently. So I'm curious to see how they do on the road going into Pittsburgh now that the Pittsburgh offense seems like it's rolling a little bit better.
I would also like to show you this before you decided to make your pick on this. I put my money where my mouth is.
Okay. Let's see. Oh! I believe I am looking at a Ravens to win Pro Football Championship game bet.
22-1.
For 22-1, which is actually showing that Vegas might agree with you, that they're not, that they're
not as much of a dumpster fire as Spike
shot.
lets them.
Yeah.
Spike leads on.
By the way, speaking of long shots, just very quickly, remember in the very beginning of the off season where we did that blind bet where we each put $10 up and picked a random number, and that was the team that we picked, put a $10 future bet on the Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot. I have the fucking Bills.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, fuck you.
You were excited when that happened. I had the Cowboys, and I think Token has the Raiders, and I think Dez has the Jets. I don't think any of us are in a good spot.
And Emily has the Giants.
Yeah. She might be in the best spot. I don't know. Nobody can really feel good about those bets.
Yeah, so anyway, getting back to that, I don't know. At this point...
My ticket's sitting right there, actually.
Oh, there you go. All right. Maybe I'll steal it if they start getting better.
If the Cowboys come along.
Token and I are on the same side of this. I like what Pittsburgh's offense is doing. I like them at home. I like them on a Sunday night game because I think they do always play well or better on nationally televised games, even though Tomlin's kind of a muppet. I think he's doing all right. I'll take the home favorite minus the 3.
Fair enough. I like Baltimore in this spot. I should take them on the money line because I think they can win this game. But the Ravens have had one primetime game at this point, and they've shown that they kind of stumbled in that one. So I'll take the 3 points, thinking they can still keep it close even if they don't win this game. So Chiefs Broncos Monday Night Football. Obviously, we'll talk about this on our Monday podcast as well, right before the game. But we'll talk about it now. 63% of the money is coming in on Kansas City minus 4.5.
Yeah, I was a little surprised this game opened at 3.5. I know Denver at home has played pretty well, but I mean, Fake Token was in here earlier this week talking about how he thought Denver was probably the worst 2-1 team he's seen, in a number of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they really haven't looked great going into this game. Especially when you figure Patrick Mahomes is not only throwing the ball like a madman,
superhuman,
but now he's got the altitude to help him out and get that little extra pump under the ball. Token and I are on different sides on this one. He's taking the home dog plus the 4.5. I will take the road favorite.
Yeah, this is kind of puts a pickle in mine because when I grabbed my sheet to make my picks, the Chiefs were a 5.5 point favorite. So they were nowhere near this 3.5, 4.5 business. So I actually took the Broncos at 5.5, but I will still take the Broncos at 4.5 points in that spot. I think right now, you're looking at everything is coming up gangbusters for Kansas City, and there are going to be valleys in this season. I'm not calling for a loss. I think they're still going to win and go to 4-0. But they're 3-0 against the spread, 2-0 against the spread on the road. Last three, they're 1-0 at home. They got to go to a tough division game in Denver on prime time. This is Mahomes' first real showing, because what we've seen so far, yes, we've seen in 1 o'clock afternoon games of Mahomes. Now all the eyes are on him. So how's he going to respond? I think he's still going to win this game for the Kansas City Chiefs. I just think that it's going to be a lot closer. And everybody, like you said, it's prisoner of the moment right now. The 63% of the money is going in on the 4.5. I'll fade the public in that spot. I usually like a home dog getting more than 3 points on a primetime game. So I'll take the Denver Broncos and pray to God that fake token is not completely right about Case Keenum. So it's it would definitely be it's actually definitely a good spot to fade Pat Mahomes in this spot. You may not always be right, but it's definitely a decent spot to fade him, especially with a number like 4.5. 27-24 games make the most sense in these spots. Even with both defenses, Kansas City's defense isn't the greatest, but both defenses are still familiar with the guys on the other side of the football. So, all right, well, it's going to be an interesting weekend again. Hopefully I can have another week like last week, maybe really put some real distance in between all of us, but it's going to be tough. It sounds like we're on board with a lot of the same picks, 2 out of 3 at least. Yeah,
nobody's really going to be able to pull way ahead or fall way behind for this week.
Yeah, I think hopefully the Packers, my lock will hopefully get me some, because your lock is who? Pats?
Pats minus the 6.5. I'm really taking a risk on this one. But
yeah, and then and Token's lock is
New Orleans minus the 3.
Yeah, so two locks for you guys that I don't feel strongly like a lock. I mean, I feel pretty good about my lock. But the Bills probably a lot of people last week said that they felt pretty good about fading the Bills too. So.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the crazy thing. It's the NFL. I mean, for all the handicapping that you can do, all the stats that you can look at, all the history that you can look at, you still got to play the games on Sunday, and anything can happen. Yeah,
as soon as you hike the ball, all bets are live. So, we appreciate you listening on 12 Ounce Sports Radio. You can also catch our Picks and Chatter podcasts on our website at vegassquares.com. Click the podcast tab, click listen, and all of our podcasts are there. Our Picks and Chatter podcast and our regular podcast that we put out every week as well. We want to thank the guys at 12 Ounce for airing all of our stuff that we talk about, whether it's picks, whether it's sports talk, whether it's complete Neanderthalic nonsense. It's all on there, and thanks to those guys. We want to thank our other sponsors, VGK Pop Sockets. We want to also thank the guys over at chaipoker.com. So if you get a chance, go over and check out our sponsors. Also, we're looking for sponsors. If you're interested in sponsoring the show, please give us a ring, or please send us an email at vegassquares@gmail.com. Shoot us a tweet. We're at Vegas Squares. Shoot Spike McAwesome a tweet. He might, I know he's looking for Capriati's to sponsor us for free cheesesteaks.
Dude, I had one of those tonight. I could always use more.
Yeah, we can always use cheesesteaks from Capriati's. So, for Spike, for Detroit version of Token Tony, he'll be back soon, so don't worry. You can always get his insane dribble next week. It could go either way. Risk it for the biscuit, blah, 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 hashtags. I am Aaron. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Good luck this weekend with your NFL picks.